Well, good evening, this is Hound Dog Steve coming to you on the 4th of April. And finally, Justine Trudeau pulled the trigger and got rid of Jody Wilson-Reybould and Dr. Jane Philpott. And that will be the topic tonight. Well, a very warm welcome to all of you who are returning to my channel, and to all of you who stumbled across my channel for the first time. Please sit down, put your feet up and have 10 minutes with the Hound Dog. So Justine Trudeau called an emergency caucus meeting to announce that he had let Jody Wilson-Reybould and Dr. Jane Philpott go, and it's very interesting because in his speech, and I'm going to show you a couple of clips from his speech, he never mentions the SNC-LAVELIN scandal. All he mentioned was that Jody Wilson-Reybould had been given permission to speak and that there had been a commission put together to inquire into this, but there was nothing about the SNC-LAVELIN scandal itself.
But that's what we've done. And we have throughout it stayed focused on our values and on Canadians. To ensure a public airing of what happened, I took the unprecedented step of waiving solicitor-client privilege and cabinet confidentiality for Ms. Wilson-Reybould so that she could speak freely to her concerns on this matter. The Justice Committee heard over 13 hours of testimony from 10 witnesses, including Ms. Wilson-Reybould. They received pages and pages of documents containing emails, texts, and transcripts of conversations.
Basically what he focused on was the taping of Michael Warnock's conversation and how unconscionable that was. And but I'm thinking that, you know, this was at the point that she had been pressured and harassed so much by members of the PMO and other members of the government, like Bill Morneau, for example, and she felt that she needed to protect herself because, as we can see now, had she not taped that conversation, it would have just been completely whitewashed over. And anybody who saw Michael Warnock's testimony at the inquiry is that's exactly what he did. That's not the way I recall the conversation, he said. Well, now we know what the conversation was thanks to that recording, and I actually applaud her for taking that recording for whatever reasons, because it was important for the public to know, and now we know that she was telling the truth about that particular situation. Now, he did not address any of that pressure that was put on the PMO. He merely said that she was given every opportunity to come forward. He never mentions Dr. Jane Philpott or why she was let go. I'm assuming that she was caught up in the same breach of trust that he feels that they had for the party. But this tells you what happens if you're a whistleblower and you bring things forward. You are not going to be believed. And of course that's incredibly interesting because remember this, Justine?
We must each have a well-understood, established process in place to file allegations of workplace harassment. And when we receive those complaints, we must take them seriously. As women speak up, it is our responsibility to listen and, more importantly, to believe.
That's right. Believe the women when they come forward with the story. Well, you haven't done that, have you? And so far, everything that Justine Trudeau has done has basically contradicted everything that he has said.
Since the beginning, I've approached this situation with patience and understanding. My rationale has been that real change is hard, and so it requires patience and it requires understanding. But being a member of caucus comes with both rights and responsibilities. The team has to trust each other. And with Jody Wilson-Reybould and Jane Philpott, that trust has been broken. Our political opponents win when Liberals are divided. We can't afford to make that mistake. Canadians are counting on us.
Anyway, I've got a quick story here from the Women of the Vote, and we're going to take a quick look at that, and when we come back, we'll do a quick wrap-up. Okie dokie, here we go.
Begins with CTV's Molly Thomas in the House.
Who's excited? Future leaders marching into the halls of Canadian power and right into a political crisis.
To have a party, and I'm going to be straight about it, the Liberal Party completely turn their backs on Jody, I think is unacceptable.
338 young women from every riding in the country taking over the seats of parliamentarians.
So I appreciate the patience everyone has had while we're working through this internally.
As the Prime Minister spoke, a revolt within. Backs turned and heads down, more than 40 women, many from Indigenous backgrounds, protesting the SNC-LAVELIN scandal and beyond. A claim the Conservatives are quick to capitalize on.
What we see is when things go wrong, and if we speak up, suddenly we're ostracized, and more importantly, we are fired. And that's exactly what happened yesterday.
Now, there is absolutely no doubt that this has hurt the Trudeau brand, the Trudeau image, and he is just plummeting in the polls. He has gone from a high of 60% approval in 2015 to a staggering 30% last week. This is even lower than Donald Trump's ratings in the popularity polls. Now that is extraordinary. So really, when you think about it, to go from the International Women's Day reception that Trudeau got, which was basically a standing ovation in 2018, to the Women of the Vote Day in the House of Commons, where literally dozens of women were turning their back on him, for all of the promises, no doubt, that he has broken. He's actually broken a trust. We were supposed to have proportional representation. Indigenous rights were supposed to be addressed. The Truth and Reconciliation was supposed to be addressed. It still hasn't. I don't think it's even gone off the ground yet. But of course, the real message that is coming through here, that is ringing loud and clear, is that if you are a principled, honest woman, you will not make it in Trudeau's government. These are 3 women now who have brought up complaints about Trudeau and his attitude towards women. And let's not forget the reporter in BC who he allegedly groped and then just said that, well, women have a different experience from men in these situations. Well, very nice. But as I say, if you're a strong, principled woman, you will not make it. Because if you bring the truth and principles to Justin Trudeau, he's not interested. You'll be called out as having broken a trust. You'll be accused of starting a civil war within the party.
When we were elected in 2015, we won because we stood together as a team, which was, to be frank, a change from past iterations of this party. The old Liberal Party was notorious for infighting. People on the same team used to identify themselves not as Liberals, but as hyphenated Liberals. My leadership was a commitment to change that. Civil wars within parties are incredibly damaging because they signal to Canadians that we care more about ourselves than we do about them. That's why I made the difficult decision to remove Ms. Wilson-Reybould and Dr. Philpott from the Liberal caucus. We've taken every effort to address their concerns. But ultimately, if they can't honestly say that they have confidence in this team, despite weeks of testimony, face-to-face conversations, and phone calls with myself and other members of caucus, then they cannot be part of this team.
And all this because you were honest and you stood up for what you believed in?
I want to start by recognizing all the important leaders in this House who are here now, MPs, senators, business leaders, community leaders, as well as the great leaders who just came before, Rona Ambrose and Elizabeth May, particularly for being strong examples of women in leadership positions in politics. We need more of them.
Because you wouldn't play the game of the old boys network?
If a politician secretly records a conversation with anyone, it's wrong. When that politician is a cabinet minister secretly recording a public servant, it's wrong. And when that cabinet minister is the Attorney General of Canada secretly recording the clerk of the Privy Council, it's unconscionable.
Well, Justin, I think you are going to struggle this year. I think you're going to struggle in the election. But anyway, the polls tell me that more people than you think understand exactly what has taken place here and the contradictions that have been made. No, I think this is going to dog you right the way through the election. And so it should. So it should, because I don't believe in hypocrisy.
The next election is around the corner and the stakes are high. This fall, Canadians are facing a clear choice. Our opponents want to take us backwards. For proof, look no further than their lack of a climate change plan.
Because I believe that hypocrisy should be called out whether it happens on the left or the right. And we're moving into a new world where we will be doing things differently, Justin, where we expect truth, honesty and integrity and a rule of law to apply in this country and our world. Okay, well, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment and subscribe below. And in the meantime, this is Hound Dog Steve signing off, wishing you a great week and weekend coming up, and we will talk to you very, very shortly. You take care now. See ya. Bye.